Good evening from the Orta No Better podcast. It's Berardi and Coke for the Watford game. I'm supposed to be joined by Gilly, but I've had to locate him. He's on his way, so hopefully he's going to join me soon and not leave me talking to myself for too long. But yeah, I'll run us an intro and we'll start getting into it and see if he turns up.
Hi, this is Don Matteo, and you are listening to the Orta No Better podcast. Let's do this.
You look like fucking Brolin, you're a Leeds eating bastard. Look like some sort of fucking weird floating head. No. It's a utensil player a bit, innit?
I mean, I feel a bit right, dickhead.
Nothing spectacular, really.
And as if by magic, the magic of show business, the main man appears.
Woo!
How are you doing?
All right, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm sound, mate. Yeah, now I know where I am and what's happening.
What a dick. Sorry,
Fucking
mate.
hell, man. Fucking hell. Your adoring fans have been clamouring for you here.
Oh,
Everyone thought it'd be me that's late. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
No, all sorted and feeling all fully refreshed and all of that sort of stuff.
Good for you. I'm fucking knackered. Jeez. I'll tell you what, though, you can't be upset, can you, after a weekend like that?
Do you know, that's it. Rhinos fan, Leeds United fan. Just, it all seems to be going okay, didn't it? We're all right.
Just be careful saying stuff like that around here. You know how it normally goes, it bites us in the arse. But yeah, I mean, things are looking up, man. Look, how far have we come in a month?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we sat the season itself set out, didn't it? And we didn't know where we were, we didn't know what was going on, who we're going to be playing for us, all of that sort of stuff. A lot of change, a lot of well, we set out to try and beat some of the sides in front of us. That didn't go brilliantly, and then we played against Wednesday, and it was God, because they were shite, and then they were shite, and you're thinking, do you know what? It's going to be a long, hard old season, this, and then you reflect on what we did against Millwall, and you reflect on what we did this weekend, and it's like, you know what? We can start to enjoy football again. It's quite nice, this football thing. We've got
weird, isn't it?
3:00 on a Saturday afternoon, and we're coming home
after.
A bit
weird.
Yeah, it is a bit weird. But I think one of the things that a lot of people spoke about with the identity of the club under Bielsa, and the fact that a lot of that had been lost, and I think that's one of the biggest things that Farke has brought. I think there's a lot of there's a lot to be said for the actual football that we're playing, but the actual club itself feel like it's come back a bit, and people can start actually being proud of the club.
I'm slightly worried about this, if I'm totally honest. I'm worried that this is trigger warning for anyone. This is going to be like a controversial reference, but it's kind of like somebody who's been in an abusive relationship, and then when they finally get out of that, the first nice person that they meet, they think is amazing. Do you know what I mean? This is the first good manager we've had since Bielsa, and I really am excited by it all. I really hope we're not sort of comparing him to Bielsa too quickly before anything's really happened, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I do get that, but I think it is. If you think of if you look at Marsh and the way that he spoke, I think there were a lot of content without any real substance. And I think
like a soundbite, man, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think when you look at the way that Farke has conducted himself, I get your point, especially if you think of the sort of pressure that could bring. If you just, I'd lost confidence that anybody could come in and actually conduct themselves in the manner that Farke has. I didn't have that confidence in anybody coming in and doing that. And I think there's a lot of people that have said this is who we should have had immediately after Bielsa, and you can see why.
Yeah. But the thing is, if we had got him and we're in that position in the Premier League with that squad of idiots, he wouldn't have lasted, and we'd have all said, "Oh, he won't."
No, but you can see why people are saying that, can't you? Because
it's
not just about the mentality, and it's not just about the football, and it's not just about the approach, and it's not even just about the way that he's speaking in the media, speaking to the players and handling the players. It's rolling all of that together into that one thing of saying what we want to see said, but also backing that up, and you know, it's easy to say the right thing, as we saw early on under Marsh. It's easy to say the right things, but he's not just saying the right things. Those bits around, look, if you don't want to play for this club, you know, this is a club that it self-regulates its identity almost over an extended period. Maybe not in the short term, because people can make bad decisions based on But if this is not a club that appeals to you, go somewhere else. And I think that's the point.
It's been said enough times recently, hasn't it?
Exactly.
Hey up. I think we've got another one here. Hey! How you doing?
Now then.
Fresh out the bath.
I had to skip washing my hair tonight for you.
How are you feeling after that result, Luke? You must be buzzing as well, mate.
Absolutely, mate. Look, it was a complete performance. Never once, really, I don't think, did Watford look even in the game. Never mind scoring. I felt we probably on another day could have been 3 or 4 up by half time. And testament to what Farke's doing with the lads. To be fair, I think that international break couldn't have come at a better time for us as a club. In the respect that, I mean, even we didn't miss Willie Nonto in the slightest at the weekend, and when you think he's arguably our biggest attacking threat, then when you miss somebody like that against a Watford, who were only relegated 3 seasons ago from the Premier League, so it's not a bad result at all. I mean, it's nice to get the win at home as well, I think, because there was a little bit of there are a few questions, I suppose, around can we break teams down who are going to sit back and just try and hold it. I don't think Watford did that in the main. I thought they came to play football, but they just didn't get a chance.
Just weren't very good at it.
And I suppose you got to respect that, really, because there's not going to be many teams that come to Ellen Road this season when now they've seen what we can do against teams and actually try and play a little bit of football, and ultimately they got it massively wrong. And like I say, it could have been a cricket score. Could that game on another weekend? There's
going to start being a bit of fear for teams coming to us now, isn't there? After seeing what's happening.
Well, yeah, I mean, and somebody just mentioned Danny Rumsey there. I didn't even. I forgot Rodon didn't even play, and we still managed to force clean sheet on the bounce.
Amazing.
And to me, you look at that starting lineup, and it brings Cooper in, and very, very bravely drops Ayling. Which still it worked for us. I think we need. Do we need one of those in? I think we probably do for balance and for leadership, but I don't know which one I'd rather play at the moment.
Yeah. What, out of Ayling and Byram?
No, sorry, Ayling and Cooper. I think one of them has to play. I think one of them has to play, being the captain and the vice captain of the squad.
I get you. Yeah.
Or I think Farke thinks one of those has to play. I think that's the only reason he dropped Ayling, because Cooper had to come in for Rodon. I think if Rodon was playing, Ayling probably played as well.
Yeah, possibly. Unless he's seen the light and decided his time's up. Do you know what I noticed in that game was I wasn't worried once about our right-hand side for the entire game until Ayling came on.
And then he got skinned and they got their first shot on target, didn't they?
You can't deny that's what's happening, can you? Byram had a cracking game.
He did.
Yeah.
He's really turned up.
As did Shackleton. He literally stuck to his man like glue. He's not the biggest. He's not the strongest. He's not going to win many aerial duels. But as soon as they got the ball, in any dangerous position or into feet for their winger, he was on them, and even just being there and just being tenacious and not letting it go was
like
enough to force them into mistakes. Yeah, absolutely.
He is. He got a lot of stick as well after the Millwall game, like, oh, he wasn't very good, blah blah blah. I was saying, well, he didn't do anything wrong. He just didn't do anything spectacular in that game. Do you know what I mean? But he's someone who you can kind of rely on. He's quite solid. It's rare that he really sort of makes massive fuck-ups or anything.
Yeah, no, and I don't think
we're waiting for one here.
Yeah, no, I don't think there was a bad performance out there, if I'm honest. No. In a nutshell, I don't think there was anybody who we could use as a potential scapegoat for a poor performance. But I suppose you don't look for, and that's the difference in it. No, you know, nobody looks for reasons to pick people out when things are going well, and it's the nature of the beast. And we say it every week that we're a fickle bunch as football fans, and it's hard to take negatives when you're winning 3-0.
It is, and what I really love about our side at the moment is like Ruta has just come out of nowhere and become amazing all of a sudden, and you can see how confident he is. He's taking piss out of people now. He's been told not to.
Yeah,
I hope on quiet though. He said to him, "I'm just saying that for cameras, you know, you keep doing what you're doing." Because then,
to be fair, with Farke's brilliant touch as well as it is, I mean,
that may be unbelievable.
Got people in comments saying sign him up, bang him up front and stuff.
He did have a good career, didn't he, as a goal scorer? I mean, never at the highest level, but in terms of his goal return, it's really quite good.
He were banging him in, absolutely banging him in. That'll be why he wants Pero, because he knows what a striker should be.
Well, yeah,
and we've all obviously questioned the Pero in the 10 and Rutter in the 9, but it when it works really, really well. But when it doesn't work, it frustrates the hell out of us, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? But you look at the games where it has worked and where it hasn't. I mean, it didn't work so well against Hull, although we did have his chances at Hull, in fairness. But just on Rutter, you mentioned in there that early miss where he was pretty much all he had to do was leave it and it had gone in.
The Dan James cross.
Yeah, but look, he didn't let that bother him, and I think I think this game time, and I said it was it a couple of weeks ago on here that we. You know, I think Farke is going to give him a run of 10 games and let him know what the championship's about. 90 minutes every week, and he's going to let him know. And I think I don't even think we've seen the best form of Ruta yet. I think we'll see that later on in the season when he understands the league a little bit more. But look, if he keeps he's had 3 man of the match performances out of 6-7 games we played in the league this year. You can't knock him.
No, can't argue with that.
He's loving it. He's absolutely loving his football in here, and I think that's. I think there's a lot to be said for go out and enjoy yourself type coaching, because I think that's where, I mean, it's a results business, but we spoke about the potential of building it up a little bit too much, but it's the requirement to entertain as well as just get results, and I think that's the bit that has been. the bit that's been lost. I'll let you read that out.
Chris Frost just saying for audio listeners, Ruta is the new Messi.
Wow.
I can't disagree with him. Always said you were great.
I think that just the one thing, we were saying it's difficult to take negatives, and it's not really negative, I guess. But if we think about our time under Bielsa and the way that we played out from the back and those heart in the mouth moments that we've got as fans more than anything else. Yeah. I get the premise of if you've got the ball at the back and you're getting pressed, it means that there's some space somewhere else. Yeah, but I'm having to get used to that again because when Mellier's got it and he's giving it to Cooper or he's giving it to Struijk and there's no obvious out ball, it can be that at times again, can't it? I think the outlet is. Rather than it being a winger like it was before, where it'd be a dinked ball or a chipped ball into midfield into Harrison, and that'd be the touch, and then run from there or whatever. Invariably, it's Ampadu dropping deep and then being able to play that in front of himself. But it is a difficult watch sometimes, isn't it? Did you feel that at the weekend?
Yeah. At times,
it's frustrating. It's frustrating as a fan, isn't it? I mean, you ideally you want to get the ball and be in there half end-to-end football for week in, week out. But the realism is that the football's played completely different to how it probably was. I mean, obviously since Bielsa, but when you look back, even probably 10, 15 years ago, it wasn't a thing to play out from the back, and it was get the ball forward, make a mistake, and play a little bit more direct, shall we say? But it's. I tell you what is refreshing is actually seeing us be able to do it, but do it relatively comfortably. I think obviously the recent memories we've got of it most recently were in the Premier League, and we felt we'd been worked out. Bielsa had been worked out, but when you look at the caliber of player and positions, we had Dan James playing as number 9 at that time, and various other players playing out of position and all over the shop, but Farke's got a squad there, and I think it was actually Jason who tweeted the balance of the squad. When you look at the depth we've got as well in every position, you don't feel like. I mean, there's obviously going to be the odd mistake that's going to lead to a goal. It's going to happen all season, but there hasn't been that heart in the mouth moments when we're playing it out from the back. If Meslier seems to be bringing it a lot further out than what he would as well. He's literally coming almost halfway to the halfway line, and until he's finding either Ampadu or Camera. If Cooper or Stroik weren't available at the weekend, he very rarely played a lob ball to one of the fullbacks. Often, if there was no out ball, it would literally go into the other half. We weren't fucking about, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's quite refreshing to see that we're not forcing it every time, but in terms of percentages, we probably play out, I'd say 90% of the time, which obviously it breeds confidence, and the players don't look like there's a mistake in them when you in comparison to the previous coaches we had where we lose the ball every 2 minutes, and we couldn't pass 5 yards under Marsh sometimes, could we? You
got the impression in that team nobody wanted the ball.
Well, his whole philosophy was to give them the ball and make them a mistake in their own half, and that was his whole philosophy. Do you know what I mean?
It's the most backwards thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense.
At a poor level, actually, you probably get away with it quite a bit, because at a poor level they're going to make mistakes. But in the Premier League, you just do not get away with that.
Exactly.
As we saw.
It just doesn't happen, and it's just a flawed philosophy. And I don't know what he told them in his interview when they came away saying, "Oh yeah, he's just like a natural successor to Bielsa." He must have downloaded a football philosophy off ChatGPT or something and just read it out. Do you know what I mean? Because it'd have been more knowledgeable than he was.
I think just a comment there as well. You mentioned Kamara, and I thought he was really good in there.
He was,
Gray has played really well so far this season, and I think we had a conversation between us, didn't we, in advance of this about what changes might be made. And I know at the time we were talking in context of Ampadu potentially being injured because he were having a dead leg at that point, and it was does he play? Who comes in for him? Is it Gruev? Is it Kamara? And we spoke about. In fact, I think what all three of us said is if we're forced into a change, it would be Gruev coming in for Ampadu, and likely it would be Kamara for Gray, because Gray and Kamara both play that little bit further forward, and that's what we saw. Obviously, Ampadu was available. It's not that he couldn't train or whatever, so he played. But yeah, I think a shout out to Kamara, because I thought he played really well. I thought he slotted in there.
Yeah.
He didn't just do a job, did he? He brought his own identity to that.
Great. He had a lot of energy.
Really well. Yeah.
He were all over the place. He were proper end-to-end, like what we got told Weston McKennie were going to be.
Yeah, his movement. If you watch it, I mean, obviously watching on telly is always different. But I mean, us three were at the game, so to be able, if you watched him, even just for a couple of minutes, he was never stood still. He found so much space, and he was always showing. And I don't think he stood still all game. It was so refreshing. I thought when I seen the starting lineup and I saw him coming in, I don't think I expected him to replace Archie after the start Archie's had so well.
Yeah.
And I think that again, it goes back to what I said a moment ago about having that strength in depth. Now we can lose a central midfielder and still be comfortable and have somebody else who can do it.
We're no longer reliant on one player. Like there's been times last couple of seasons where certain players out, like when we lost Adams, and we were all like, "Oh God, we've had it now. We're screwed." And I tell you what, I think Ampadu's a better player, and all right, he's playing at a lower level, so maybe he looks a bit better, but. He looks great to me because he can do all the tackling stuff that Adams could do, and he can bloody pass the ball.
Yeah. He were unlucky not to get a goal as well, wasn't he?
He was. Yeah.
He were well hit with that,
Great
and it were
save.
on his weaker foot.
Everyone were unlucky not to get a goal. We were raining down on him. It were like Dunkirk at one point. You know what I mean? That keeper thought he were in boats.
He did have a good game there, keeper. To be fair,
He did.
I turned to Bren and I said, before game we'd been having a chat, and then in stands, just towards the end at first half, I turned to Bren and I said, "Told you we're going to have a fucking blinder." They always seem to have a blinder. It felt very much the same, didn't he? That route of chance that you mentioned earlier, Luke, where I were asking if it were the one Dan James played in. If he just leaves it alone, it probably just trickles in at bottom corner. You've got to go for it. So I'm not saying any different there. But point blank, right at him like that, to be able to make that save and the Ampadu save, and there were others as well. No, he did have a good game. It says a lot when the opposition keeper plays so well and you beat him 3-0 anyway.
Yeah, you can't tell me that people are up for playing against Leeds.
Well, the teams
turn up and have the best games.
Absolutely, the teams we've played this season that we've struggled against, their keeper has been their man of the match in all the games. You look at Salford, Sheff Wednesday, Hull, Birmingham, probably arguably as well. Their keeper has ultimately kept them in the game, which even when we weren't at our best, I still think we've got a lot more to see this season. You think Farke's only been here just over a month? Coming up to 2 months now. So, and he's only had really a short amount of time with them where they've had a break to actually implement it. You think Bielsa had a full 6 weeks non-stop with the majority of the squad, because there was no international breaks there. It wasn't. We had the World Cup that year, so yeah. I mean, I don't want to get too carried away, and I've seen some wild comparisons to for look. I think Ampadu's a great player, but comparing him to Calvin Phillips and stuff like that, I've seen as well. But look, he's every bit as important to us, I would say. In what he does for us, and obviously
he's integral to what we do.
And integral,
yeah,
not integral.
Nice.
Whatever. I'm just trying to fit in with everyone else who mispronounces everything they say on here.
Yeah, no, I get the point. I do.
Yeah, no, I think he is, but then again, I mean, we haven't seen a lot of Gruev yet, but apparently he can do what Ampadu does. So we lose either of those central midfielders, and we've got a ready-made replacement. We're not having to look for Sam Greenwood to come in and play central defensive midfield, or bring
such a relief.
It is, in half.
You don't see something like a player getting suspension or getting injured or all that and think, oh God, we're fucked now. Because we have got people that can come in and they've recruited really well.
Especially when you take into account the amounts that have been spent. We've reflected several times, haven't we, on the amount that was spent, and the fact that when you compare what we spent to bring in the likes of Adams and Aronson and co, and then you look at what we've got now and the amount that we spent to get that, and you're thinking there's a balance that's wrong here somewhere. It's just not right. Because in effect, I know we got a bit of money in for Rodrigo, but in effect, it's just one big fee that's been able to allow us to go and sign those players. Yeah. And if you take Adams, if you take Calvin. When we've had those players and when those players have then moved on, you're thinking, right, okay, what we're going to go and do now? And now we have, I know that Gray came through the academy, but we've now got 4 players there that you can have a look at are actually genuinely fighting to be a starting midfielder. And how long is it since we've had 4 that you can slot in there and not really be worried about it? And then only after that, you're looking at, right, okay, well, Shaq could go and do a job there. And, there are other people that can go and play
Dallas
in there.
To come back.
It's been a lot. Yeah, it's been a long time since we've had that sort of depth.
It has.
Forgotten man,
Darko JB.
Well, yeah, and the biggest frustration for me, actually, is that we haven't done that at fullback. I know we've signed Spence, and I know that he had 30 seconds, and we all went, ooh. After we'd made one appearance and then he's got injured. So actually we'd have Spence and Byron, and we probably wouldn't be having this conversation anyway, because I thought Byron were really good this weekend.
He was.
And we probably wouldn't be having this conversation, but we haven't gone and signed a genuine recognised left back.
No.
Shaq's played well.
However,
we just haven't gone and done that.
However, have you seen the quote today that's come out from Daniel Farke around Byron? Yeah. So we, although you might not say he's not as a natural left back, I know he's played half of his career probably right and left back, but he said something along the lines of Sam Byram wasn't in the plans this transfer window. However, I said a fit Sam Byram is better than as good as, if not better than any other left back in the league. Something along those lines. I may be a little bit wrong.
You're about right on the context they were given. I can't remember the exact phraseology, but the context is about right. And coming off the back of that performance, you can't really say different. He did play well. He were up and down. He were reading the play. He never looked like he'd been massively caught out of position at any point, but he was getting forward. He got his goal. I don't think he was dominated at any point, whether that be in the air or on the floor. I thought he played really, really well. I think, there's been a lot of talk around who your man of the match was. I think it's a really difficult decision, is this one. And again, that's symptomatic of just how well they did. But for me, especially in the context of him coming back to the club and a lot of people being unsure, and I definitely was one of those, I think Byram's in that conversation.
I think we all were.
And that says a lot for his performance.
Byram felt like someone we were signing just because they were there and they were free.
Yeah.
But the way he's played has been like a bona fide proper signing that you wanted to go out and get.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I can't fault anything he's done since he's come back.
No, absolutely. And I think that he does bring a bit of experience and he does bring a bit of leadership. And I think...
you forget he's a Premier League player. You
do, yeah. But I think Luke's probably right that if Cooper wasn't available, we'll probably see Ayling start that game.
Possibly,
just because you need somebody to wear the armband. But I don't, I'm not so worried now. If you look at tail end of last season, you're thinking, where are the leaders? And I think now you can look at Cooper, you can look at Ayling, but you can also look beyond them at Ampadu. Byram's another one. Stroik's had the armband on. I don't think he's a captain in the same vein, but I think that, in time that'll come. And I think the others, Gray's very young, but I think Kamara and Gruev are people that I think we'll see some of that leadership from as well.
Yeah, Coleslaw and Toast is saying. Yeah. Coleslaw's just saying, for me, Ampadu, Byram and Shax have been our best and most consistent players so far. I'm not sure if I'd say Shax has been... Well, I suppose he has been consistent in that he's been
consistent.
Solid.
He very rarely gives the ball away. He works hard. He does this. You know what you're getting. He's never going to set the ball. He's never going to score a 40-yard shot. He's not. He's never going to crunch into tackles. You just know what you're getting with him, and he's steady.
That's what I said before. He's always solid, even if he's not spectacular. He doesn't really. He's
the epitome of side before self. He will literally go on that field and play in goal if he has to do. He's that type of lad. And look, I just think he's such. At the start of the season, I said that he would have been one of the players that I've been looking to ship out. He went on loan to Millwall, didn't play very much at Millwall. They didn't really fancy him. But look, it just goes to show what a good coach can do with players, I suppose. And when they understand. When they understand the task at hand, and they all seem to know exactly what each other are doing all the time. It just makes it so easy and so good for us as fans to watch.
Yeah, that's it. And just everything seems to be moving in the right direction. Like in every department of the team at the moment, it's really uncomfortable. It doesn't feel right. Not used to this kind of thing.
Are we joint fourth in league?
Yeah, it's like. It felt for a time like no one would be able to come in and repair the damage that had been done by the previous management at the end. And everything just seems to be coming up Millhouse, as a Simpsons reference for you. It's just everything's just going well. And that sort of harks back to my point before about getting too excited too quick. I just don't want to get my heart broken again.
Yeah,
I'm all in here. I'm getting carried away.
It's about ups and downs. You're going to be riding a crest of a wave, and your heart will be broken one day, Jay. No matter what.
I know. And when we'll be on here getting record viewership because people love misery.
Chef Wednesday aren't going to win a game all season. Then we go to their place, that'll be a record wing.
Something for them,
something like that. Yeah.
Well, look at what they've done so far. I think did they get another draw this weekend? Because I think their only positive result did that, but their only positive result just after we played them, it was a draw against us, wasn't it? They'd been beaten in every game other than
They've
that.
lost every game bar one, and they drew with us at our place.
Yeah.
But do you know what? I thought they'd boxed another draw somewhere, but even so, even if they have, but the other side to that is you also look at Ipswich, who up until recently I think had won every game except the one against us. So and I think that you
talking about this.
All right, okay. Oh, it's only
So
top
we've
half,
got.
isn't it?
Yeah, I can go down.
Oh no, it's still there. So how many points have they got? Have they got 2? Yeah, they have got 2. Okay,
2 points. Yeah. -9 goal difference. Fantastic.
But one of those draws against us. I think it's one of them. But I think coming off the back of that performance and the fact that it is the 4th consecutive clean sheet, which is just amazing. Who could have had odds? I'd asked. In fact, were you there when I was asking the question, Jay? Just what odds would you have got on the 4 consecutive clean sheets in early on in the season? I remember Charlie responding because Charlie were there in Cheese with us, wasn't he? I can't remember if you were there when I asked the question, but yeah, I mean, just imagine the odds you'd have got on that within the first 8 games of the season.
Absolutely. 50 odd games or something without a clean sheet, and then we get 4 in a row.
I think
and
that,
one of them's with Cooper playing.
Yeah, again though, that we haven't played. I'd be very surprised if we've had the same back 4 in any of those 4 games.
Yeah, also true.
Yeah.
Well, Cooper's come back in, so and
so that's one.
And Shaq came in for Ayling.
Yeah,
and then
that's 2.
Byram came in. So it's only really been Strike that's been consistent in there, and Melier obviously net. But yeah, you're right. It's not been a settled back 4 either.
No, it's been like the same set of players on rotation though.
Yeah, but it's 4 of 7, and usually you look at that and you're thinking, it's a bit much, and it's just not. It's working, and I think that's testament to the coaching now, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That referee, I want to just bring him up for a minute because I don't know what was going on with that guy, but I was going out of my mind. I was screaming, "It's happening right in front of your eyes! How are you not giving this?" And it was like there were at least 3 proper free kicks we should have had in decent places. There were the penalty shout that we should have had. There were definite contact. And that gets given against us every time. And I don't understand how they couldn't get away with it.
Yeah, that is one of those that I don't like to see given as a penalty, but because it's given against us all the time, it's frustrating when we don't get it. It's one of them.
Exactly.
But Somerville had one as well, because I think Dan James were on the far side, so it looked like it to us. But right in front of us, Somerville had beaten his man, and he was absolutely cleaned out. And it wasn't in the box, so it wasn't a penalty shout, but it was definitely a free kick and just nothing given at all.
I was saying that at the time. It was like he'd gone like 2 feet past him. Do you know what I mean? Why would you dive? He'd beaten the man. He was cutting into the box with the ball at his feet and a space in front of him after he'd gone.
He'd got himself between the ball and the man, and there was contact from behind.
Yeah,
it's a penalty. Like, do you know what I mean? It was. If you watch it back as well, Dan James actually pulled.
We were talking about Somerville there, but all right, we'll go back to that.
Oh, sorry.
It's true for both.
But no, you're right. Yeah,
attackers are coached to get between the man and the ball, so that they can't make a challenge. And challenges were made on both James and on Somerville, and they got the man and not the ball. Well, that's a foul. It doesn't matter whether it's inside the box or not. It's a foul.
Exactly.
And Matt Leeds is right. Cooper got kicked in face.
Yeah, and no card, so that's okay. Blaze Ray saying the refs have been consistent though, even if it's consistently poor. It's absolutely bang on, and they have been. And it's so like you end up wishing for VAR almost, which you never thought you'd do. But that doesn't give half a shit anyway. So
do you know one of the things I do enjoy about the Championship is no VAR, regardless of the errors and everything else in between and how shit the refs are and that. I don't miss celebrating and then having it chalked off, and I don't. On the other hand, on the other hand, I don't miss not being able to celebrate properly because you just never know. Do you know what I mean? Human error happens. Leave it to these people who are alleged professionals, and just let the game. They tend to even themselves out these mistakes within a year, unless you're Leeds United. So let just let them ride. Which I don't miss that about them. I mean, VAR gets half of them wrong anyway. So what's the fucking point?
Yeah, I mean, when they looked at that one for us against Spurs and still gave it, they looked at that thing last month with Wolves against Scum, where they should have had a penalty. They still didn't give that, and it's like I say, you kind of wish for it, but then they still don't fucking do the jobs, do they? So, but
I think it's so important to be able to react emotionally to what's going on in front of you, footballer, because that's what it's about.
That is
the fact that we've scored.
Why we're there.
You want to go wild, you want to go mad, you want the limbs, you want that, and to do all of that, and then 30 seconds later it comes up on board and it's a VAR checking, like, for fuck.
And then you stood there for like 3 minutes waiting for it.
Yeah, and even if your goal stands, it's taken that away from the fans. I think so. I was one of those that wanted technology to be brought in to support the referees. It's been done so badly that there's just no point. Get rid of it all. So I think the one thing I said at half time was a ref can't make a game, but he can fucking ruin one, and it felt like that's what was happening in first half.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I just address this comment quickly? Scooby, no pen. He didn't need to touch. Well, look, Gilly said we didn't want. You don't want those to be penalties, but the letter of the law these days, that is a penalty, regardless of how you look at it. If there's contact, whether he's even leaning on him or anything, it is a penalty. And as for the kick of the face, was no. Look, I don't think much contact was made. But when you're a centre back and you're brave enough to put your head where somebody's foot is, then that's also a foul and also should be a booking.
Yeah,
no matter how old school you are,
doesn't it?
Yeah.
And we've seen him given against us.
We've all grown up in a generation where actually, when you look at it, it is nothing, and probably you don't really want to see these given. But the letter of the law in today's game is, it wasn't shoulder to shoulder. By the way, he went behind him. It was behind.
Yeah,
Dan James was in front of him.
It was across him.
Yeah.
It's the thing is, if they're going to get given against you, then you want them given for you. It's that simple for me.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna try and find a graphic. Well, just to prove my point.
Okay, mate. Completely thrown me now. I've forgotten what I was going to say.
Well, here's a question for you then. Just while you think on that, and while we're talking about the back four, is Rodon wasn't injured. He was banned for that one game by virtue of his 2 yellow cards. Who lines up at centre back for your next game?
I think you got
to bring him back in. Yeah,
But I think because Cooper's captain, there's some doubt there about whether he'll actually drop him.
Well, and I think there's that piece as well of, well, if you're playing either Ayling or Cooper and Ayling didn't start and Cooper did and we kept another clean sheet, do you change that approach?
It's hard.
It's a real tough one.
If you lose your place, then you got to earn your way back in a sense. But
yeah, and it's really, really tough on Rodon that he got sent off for that bullshit.
And the first one was never a yellow.
It's not a poor performance that's meant that he's been dropped. It's been a forced situation by the officiating. It's a real tough one for me, and I don't know what I'd do. I don't know what I want.
No, I don't. But these are the headaches you want, aren't they? These are the good ones. I mean, my stance. I'd probably put Rodon back in. I'm not a massive believer in Cooper, but it's hard to take somebody out after a game like that when they've not really done anything wrong and we've got a clean sheet. Yeah, especially when he's your captain.
Rodon were involved in 3 clean sheets prior to this one, so
I know.
It is a really tough one. I like I said, I'm not really sure I know what the answer is.
Me neither.
Has played pretty well. He's a goal threat. He's got a couple already, and I don't think he's done much wrong. But how you bring and I think you are right. He's Rodon's likely to start. I think, especially if you take into account that although they've not had the best of starts, Southampton might be one of the better sides we've come up against, and you're wanting to get your first 11 out on the pitch against those sides that you expect to be pushing across the course of the season.
Definitely.
It is. It's a difficult one for me. I'm not sure I know the answer.
And if they are in a slow start and going to come good, you want to hit them while you can.
Yeah.
You don't want to be sort of giving any opportunity for them, yeah. I'm just going to rifle some comments while Luke's doing what he's doing because we've got a fair few starred. So here we go. Andy Aylaw still buzzing. What a win. Clean sheet and that touch by Farke. What a weekend. Paul Brennan, hello to all. I hope you're still buzzing. I am myself feeling top of the world. Top of the world. All Leeds, aren't we? Marching on together. We all love Leeds. Andy Aylor says, even Carl must be giddy now.
He was tempered, wasn't he? He wasn't feeling too excited. He wasn't getting carried away.
I think he's getting there, though. I think he's getting there. Chris Frost, HMS Pistol League, MOT lads. Let's get going. Danny Rumsey, I'm not getting too excited yet. This is Leeds and a couple of injuries back to square one. See, I don't agree with that, mate. I think we've got enough cover to see through a couple of injuries.
You look at what we've got, and Dan James were out for a bit, and we didn't really. I would say we didn't really miss him,
No.
and then obviously Willie injured, and then we haven't really missed him because we've just gone and scored 3 goals. We're in a better position now than we have been for multiple seasons in terms of that depth and not being rocked massively by one injury. Like, even going back to the first Premier League season when we didn't have Calvin, you could really, really tell because we were so reliant on him being able to pick the ball up and play those passes that we were used to seeing from him. It really hurt us when he wasn't there, and I think that's also true of Bamford. We needed our first 11 out to be able to compete, and I don't think that's true now.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. It feels like with Calvin, the system didn't work without him, but it feels like the system Farke has got is kind of the system works. The players are interchangeable in that system, and that's
I
like
would agree.
A big difference to me. I think that's amazing that he's managed to put this all together so quickly.
Yeah, and maybe that's just because actually Calvin was so much better than all the players around him at the time.
Maybe so, yeah.
Could be that as well. But
and there were still people slagging him off.
Yeah, I think it's one of them. I think because we're not talking about 1 or 2 superstars in the team. We're talking about an overall team and squad that's really working for us at the minute. So I think we can carry certain injuries now better than we have been able to do for at least 5 seasons.
Yeah, I totally agree. Paul Brennan says, total respect to Daniel Farke for taking on a massive rebuilding job. He's brought the United back into Leeds. Hopefully the club feels positive again. Absolutely, mate. Totally agree with that. Kenneth Clement, he says, come on, boys. My son's down for a midday nap in Wisconsin. I get precious little time to myself to take in some Leeds content. I think that's when you were AWOL.
In your precious time, you watch OKB. I tell you what I do in my precious time, and it's not watching me. Watching
Don't tell us on Halo.
Just really quickly, go on.
Danny Rumsey saying Rute is a great utensil player.
Right, that word's good. Can I just, before you go to the next question, can I just play this really quickly? Just the penalty shout.
Hang on.
Oh, go on.
Here we go.
Penalty.
Bang.
Yeah, that's not shoulder to shoulder. He's got, as Jay said, he's got his body in front of his man. And his man's coming to the centre of his back.
Man goes across him. Penalty. If it's going to get given against us, then I want them given for us. That's it.
That's given against
and you know that it would be.
Yeah. Every time. Right.
I think one player that we haven't mentioned. Sorry, just one player that we haven't mentioned is, and it's only because I've just caught what Ishmael have been saying about us, and today was not enough. Congratulations, Leeds more than deserve the 3 points, which I don't think anybody would say otherwise. No. But the comment above that is from Farke about Meslier. That save at 95th minute were brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And to be
the one where
concentrated
went up with one
to the level
over the bar.
Yeah. That I think that might have been their only shot on target. The 95th minute. And you mentioned Ayling, but even then, that guy had to get a lucky break because Ayling gets the ball, gets his foot in, and it ricochets back for him kindly. But for him to be concentrated to the level that in the 95th minute he's saving his first shot on target, and he's doing that so well. I think that's also testament to his ability to remain concentrated, because you could be forgiven for your keeper conceding at that point when the game's gone. It's already won. But it was a good save as well. So it just thought I'd mention it. Get back to your comments.
Yeah, no worries. Andy Aylor says, Ellen Rose is bouncing. It's been too long since we've had that. It were absolutely rocking, wasn't it? It were amazing.
It was.
Great
An
atmosphere.
absolute masterstroke, by the way, by at the end of the show to play Status Quo.
Yeah.
I've seen people say it's tacky and shit, but I tell you what, after a game when we've sung it for how many times throughout the game, to play that is a great idea. Like, you know what I mean? Keep the fans in. We were still in there 10 minutes after the finish walking round. You know what I mean? Like, it was just, it was still rocking. It was brilliant.
I've got a revelation to give you. I'm sorry, Jay. I'm gonna have to.
Oh, right, yeah. Go on.
Jay didn't know lyrics.
I didn't, not the Leeds lyrics. I knew the original song, but I could not tell.
It's the exact original, but instead of rocking all over the world, it's some of those Strauch and Perot.
But that one line, I could only make out Perot. I couldn't tell what people were saying. I mean, I were knackered, to be fair, and I were a bit groggy, but I was stood there thinking, I like this, but I don't know what to.
Jay, it's only got 3 fucking words in it. I just couldn't get my head around it at all.
Have you seen the lad from the Kaiser Chiefs who does the Don't Go to Bed Just Yet podcast? Yeah, who he said that the only problem he's got with that chant is it's a timing issue. It shouldn't be 1, 2, 3, 4, and I like it. It should be 1, 2, 3, and I like it, which is right.
Oh well,
and I agree with him. And any musicians out there, which I'm not, would probably agree.
Smart is saying Marsh was like a Punch and Judy show, out of date, repetitive, and not enjoyable if you're an adult with a brain cell. Totally agree, mate. Totally agree. Paul Brennan, Dan James will be important this season for Leeds. 2 assists. Respect to Dan James. Never complained when he got shipped out. Has come back, just got stuck in, gives 100%. Again, can't argue with that.
I was fuming at him at half-time. I was probably fuming at him at half-time. Now, we have already said that he played a good ball in. Ruta should score. If Ruta misses the ball completely, it probably goes in. Dan James gets himself a goal. He got 2 assists. One of which was direct from a corner straight on somebody's head. Remember last time you saw that?
When does that happen?
Yeah. So, but you know, you look at his 2 assists in his previous performance for us, and the fact that one of them were a miskicked shot, and the other one were a deflected cross.
They all
count. You've got to be there. You've got to be there to set him up, just as you've got to be
in right places
to score him. And his cross for Perot were right on the money. Right on the button, wasn't it?
It were a better cross than I thought he was capable of.
And just on Dan James, because I think I see still getting a lot of I suppose shit tweets and bad publicity from some fans, but the one thing that he didn't have was end product. Now he took the corner for Byram's goal, and that cross for Pirro was perfect. Look, he's still not the complete player, and he probably never ever will be. If he was, he wouldn't be playing for Leeds United in the Championship. But
he probably
as a player, I think he has improved dramatically.
Yeah,
certainly his crossing.
Yeah, it is. You know, Brent said to me, "How did he play in the Champions League?" I mean, there is levels, isn't there? But even so, you know, the work he gets through, and he's willing to go up against anyone. You know, he's only a little lad, isn't he? But he'll go in against anyone. He's not bothered at all. He's fearless, and I think that goes for a lot as well, especially for Leeds fans. You know, we've always been a fan base that if you're putting in 100% effort, even if your talent doesn't quite carry that out, I think if you're seen as somebody, you know, there's frustrating players. If you look at Lufc, people that always looked lackadaisical and didn't look like they were putting in all of that effort. Dan James don't fit that mold, does he? He's worked hard.
Not at all.
Every minute he's on the pitch. Very much like Shaq, actually. You know, you can see that they just work hard all the time. I think that having the two of them together is probably a bit limiting, but equally, he set 2 goals up, so we can't be too harsh on him.
He's another one. It's like you can't really drop him when he's setting goals up.
Well, but do you know what? Anthony took his goal really well, and he could have had another one.
He did.
I was just going to go on to
He played
Anthony.
really well, and I think
he looks clinical, doesn't he?
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons actually when we talk about non-tone, we talk about those injuries. You know, we do have depth, and it's pretty much everywhere. And I don't think, just a hat nod to Anthony as well.
You like Sinistera, who?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Made no difference to us whatsoever. Fuck
I think I
off.
saw, and I haven't fact checked this, so this might be wrong, but I think I saw, did they get beat 3-1?
I hope it is, just so I
5
can comment you
substitutions,
about it.
and Cine didn't get 1 single minute.
Yeah.
5 subs. He was on the bench. They were crying out for goals, and they didn't even look at him.
They brought on
Wow.
Philip Billing before him.
Who? Ronnie
Exactly.
Picker in. That segues
No, Philip
nicely
Billing.
into Smarty's comment here. He's saying, we have Ruta, Piro, James, Anthony, Somerville and Nonto as our first choice attack. It's just pure filth and scares the shit out of teams. It's why the less able teams set up so defensively. And the thing that I really like about this, and I was going to mention this before, is at any one time, we have at least 2 players on the pitch that some teams are going to want to put 2 men on. You can't.
Yeah, you just
and if
can't
they do, it just opens them up completely.
Yeah, and I've just had a very quick
quality
look at it, and Dan James is presently clear, not even joint. He's the highest assist getter in the league at the minute. Yeah,
he's the new Jack Harrison.
Chances per night is 1.5. And do you know, I didn't expect this at all, but his current passing accuracy in the league is 80%.
Really?
Yeah,
that's not bad for a winger.
It's not.
No.
So yeah, no, it's it doesn't give stats on giving the ball away because playing a pass is different to trying to take somebody on and not getting past them, isn't it? But he's doing well at the minute. To be fair to him, and I was raging about him at half time. But he is one of those that you know what you're getting. He's always going to work hard, and he's quick, and he scares people with his pace. And then, clinical is the right word for it. And he does look clinical, I think.
I've got
because that goal and that shot he did were both very similar. No, go on, man. I was just going to say that.
No, you're right. Finish what you're saying, Jay. It's all right. Nobody else wanted to
that were it, Paul. Because then you could say all your stuff about him, and it's a nice little, like a well-oiled machine.
No, Jaden Anthony, absolutely will be arguably as important, if not more important. Cine was our biggest threat last season, but he played half a season. We've already seen as much from Anthony that he's capable of filling that position. I just wanted to share some data courtesy of LUFC data for most assists for Leeds this season. We've got Dan James on 4. The next nearest is Ruta on 2. 2 players who were written off pretty much. Most big chances created for Leeds this season. Gigi Rutter, 6. Dan James, 5. Most chances in total created for Leeds this season. Rutter, 15. Dan James, 13.
Are you just going to keep that now? Whenever you see somebody like slagging Dan James off or saying, why has he been picked? Just going to send him that.
Well, look,
it's in black and white, mate. That's why he's getting picked.
He's frustrating. He's still very frustrating, and he doesn't have that. He doesn't have that magic of Rafinha or Gnonto or Somerville or even Sinistera for that. But but just to go back to what Gilly says, exactly you get what he does exactly what it says on the tin, and he's going to run at defenders. He's going to be a pain in their ass, and he might misplace 3 or 4 passes a game. He might dribble into touch. He might trip up over his own feet, but you can't argue with his starts of this season that he deserves a place in that starting lineup.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, he's putting stats up like that. You'd be hard pressed to argue against him.
Yeah,
I see it. See, I questioned it against Hull. Why did we start Dan James? Because he didn't have a great game against Hull, but I questioned it because I thought he was such a good impact sub against.
Yeah,
was it Millwall when he came on and he set 2 up? Yeah, it was Millwall.
Yeah, when he did his stumble
and got 2 assists. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so he'd come on and made a massive impact as a sub because let's face it, when you're knackered, you don't want somebody who can run 100 meters in less than 10 seconds or 11 seconds or whatever he can do it in running at you. So that's why I sort of questioned him starting against Hull. But look, Farke stuck with him. They see him in training every day, and again, those states again, courtesy of LUFC data, are exactly what all you need to really see for now.
Did you say those states?
Stats.
I'm sure you said states. We're a lot.
You're the only state.
I am, mate. I am.
To be fair, I would have stayed because I'd only been awake 30 seconds after Jay rang me to wake me up tonight. So thanks for that. Do you know the interesting thing for me there is I'm really surprised that Somerville's name wasn't in when you're reading the stats out, because for me Somerville's played really well so far this season.
That's fantastic for me.
Yeah. Surprised that his name wasn't up there with the pair of them in terms of chances created and what have you, because he's played really well.
I tell you what's going to be interesting this year. It's going to be who gets player at end of season, because the way people are playing, it's
Did
going
we
to be
do
a hell
some
of a
predictions
contest.
early on? Did we do
We
some
might have
this
done.
year?
We probably all put Ruta as a
I
flop.
don't think we did this year.
No, I don't think we did.
I did some on Joe's, I think, and I think they went over him again a week ago, but I wasn't available, so I can't remember what I picked. But do you reckon we should have a quick one now? Who do you think your player of the year is going to be, Jay?
I think Ruta, if he carries on the way he is, just because
based on what
people
you've
love all the showmanship and the flair. And I think players like that stand out a bit more. But then if Pirro scores 35 goals, you know what I mean? Who knows?
So I'll ask you again. Who do you think is going to be player of the year?
I'm going to stick with Ruta just because I said it first. But
what about you, Gilly, based on what you've seen?
Ampadu, I think. He's
so
assured. He's so assured in midfield. And, alongside Gray, Gray's looked great on the ball. And, if somebody goes and gets 30-odd goals this season, then you'd be hard pushed to look beyond them. But personally, I think Ampadu.
Half the team's going to be in the conversation, and that's exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to throw a bit of a curveball here, but I think Somerville's been our biggest threat, attacking threat. Certainly,
I think he's been great. Yeah.
But yeah, I think any one of probably five at the moment could probably be in the running. And yeah, I mean, even Sam Byram could be in there for a shout, but I don't know. There's lots and lots of options.
It's so surprising the level he's playing at, isn't it? I think that's the point with Byram, is the context that we signed him. We got him. He was on a free. You want cheap? He was on a free.
Yeah, he was on a free.
And it were almost like somebody to just bulk out the squad, and coming in under that context with the history he'd had and the fact that he was going to have to win over the fans and all of that, and he has. And I think it's the context around that that's most pleasantly surprising about that situation. But yeah, you could be forgiven for going for any of 7 or 8 players at this point in time with the way that we started. Yeah,
Archie Gray's nailed on for young player, no doubt there.
Oh God,
yeah, I think you're probably right on that. I think you are.
I've just put a poll up, by the way.
Okay,
early shout. Early player of the year shout. So I've put Ruta, Pirro, and Ampadu on there, and then other. And if you do want to comment, let us know.
So I've been asked a question here. Does he stay in January though, Gilly?
Who?
I don't know, because I was saying
that about Melier.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. You'll have to let us know, Mark.
Yeah, Mark. Who are you meaning there? Because I can't see Ampadu going anywhere.
Absolutely not. No chance.
No, God, no.
Oh, it is Ampadu he's asking about?
No, really? Nah, no chance. I think we might have to knock a couple of bids back from teams around the relegation zone.
I can't. But I don't think anybody will have the audacity to try and buy somebody who we signed in the summer, because they'll know how much we paid for him. He's going to be loving it here, enjoying his football. There's not going to be, we're arguably going to be in a promotion challenge, or should be in a promotion challenge by then. And we'll know, the table usually evens itself out after sort of 10, 15 games in the Championship, and you get an idea of who's going to be challenging where. Then
not if Johnny Woodgate.
No, there's 1 or 2 anomalies. Yeah. There's 1 or 2 anomalies. But yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody would have the audacity to even inquire about him. I think that'd be absolute. They'd just be knocked back immediately.
They'd get sent packing, wouldn't they? They'd get sent packing.
Yeah. I think with the challenging conversation is going to be around Archie Gray, because I think the legislation is that if you're under 18, you can only sign a 2-year deal. So everybody knows that his contract is not a 5-year contract. And obviously his family has a great history with the club, and he's come through the academy. But we've seen what bad advice can do for young players, and I just hope that they can manage that situation effectively. I've got more faith in that being managed now effectively than I would have done last season. So let's see on that one. But I think that'll be a more difficult conversation and context than the Ampadu piece, because Ampadu is probably on a 4 or 5 year deal.
Yeah, but I also think we've got a bit of bias towards Archie Gray. I think his family will be, obviously they're very much Mr. Leeds Uniteds. They're all of his family, and they will also have their head screwed on having played the game, and they'll understand that actually a couple of years with Leeds, even if he's going to be world class, as we all expect, and probably play for England and everything else, hopefully he can do that with us. But I I would hope, or I'd like to think that he would be well advised, not like Willie Nonto was in the summer and everything.
Yeah.
He's got a good core of people around him that would probably suggest, Leeds are going to offer you another deal. They've got enough people close to the club to know that Leeds are going to offer you another deal. They're going to probably treble your salary if you sign, but you stay till you're 18 and we'll sign you up for 5 years on 30, 40 grand a week or whatever it is, So yeah, whilst I agree, I think there will be clubs sniffing around and we'll probably get offered a decent sum of money for Archie Gray. I can't see him leaving anytime soon.
No, and you hope that's the case. I just think because of the context and because of the contract duration that that's likely to be a more difficult piece than I don't see Ampadu going for at least 2 seasons because of the length of his contract, especially if we're successful this season. And to be fair, if you look at the context around Calvin and the fact that he stayed while we were at this level and only left when we'd had success and we'd got to the top table again. But equally, the England opportunities that were afforded Calvin through that. It's not that he won't get in the setup. If he's good enough, he'll play. So it's you hope that'll be managed a bit more effectively than, as I said, than we would have been confident of last season.
Calvin's a great example for Archie in a couple of different ways, really, because he stayed at the club and gave us a bit more and helped get us promoted, and he still realised his ambitions.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, he went from being the main man in our midfield to being a nobody at City.
Well, he's got an opportunity now, hasn't he?
He has now because Rodri went mental.
Well, I think he's out for 3 games now, isn't he, Rodri?
I'm not surprised. He throttled him, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, yeah. But, so I think he's got an opportunity now. If he doesn't get picked now, he's never going to to be.
He's finished, isn't he, if he don't get picked?
Yeah. It is there. So I don't
He's not finished. He's English.
He's only 28.
All right.
So yeah, no, I think because there's been recent success with English midfielders that had close affinity with the club and had come through the academy, I think it's quite an easy sell, just as long as it's managed properly and effectively. And not badly advised, which you don't expect, to be fair. But yeah, we'll see on that one.
Absolutely. Alison's right. Give us a like and a subscribe. Keeps us coming back for more punishment. I mean, going back to sort of the game and stuff, it were one of the things that I really enjoyed about it was the fact that at half-time it felt a lot like one of those games that we've been through before, didn't it? Can't score, can't break them down, getting nothing off the ref. And the fact that we kept going, didn't give up, and like even after that whole game that we'd only just played, and similar sort of thing where we just weren't managing to break through and stuff. And I love the fact that the spirit that Farke's got in there, he's got these players proper running for the shirt. They're all playing for it. They all want to be out there. They all want to win for Leeds United. I love it. I'm just really enjoying football again. Even I'm happy. Do you know what I mean? That's how good it is.
Positive J's back.
Exactly. I'm coming out of games. I'm going for a pint. I'm not just going straight home miserable. It's brilliant. Loving it. What about you? How are you feeling?
It does make you spring into the week a little bit better. It makes Monday mornings a little bit more bearable when you can go into work or you can join a team's call and talk to the lads at work about how shit scum are and all the other sides and that. Or even just because Leeds have won, you don't get as much stick. Like it's quite a nice feeling, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? But I mean, I'm guilty of it, but I do let football control my mood, and I was so happy throughout the off season when there was no games and the period between the end of the season and the start of this. I was in such a good mood. I was so happy. I went to loads of gigs. It was summer. I didn't even think about football. But it's nice to actually come back and actually have something to look forward to. And we said towards the end of last season that actually this season might not be as bad as what we think. Yeah, we're not playing in the Premier League, but arguably the journey is far more interesting than actually getting there anyway.
It is.
Getting to the Premier League is far more entertaining than actually being in it. You've only got to look at the clubs that have been promoted. I think it might have been Graham Smith tweeted something along the lines of the amount of I think they picked up 1 point between the 3 promoted clubs so far this season. And scored like the minus 28 in terms of goal difference. Something I can't remember. I'm probably a little bit off there, but yeah, I mean, you go from winning promotion to the Premier League and absolutely living on cloud nine for a few weeks and then going to that week in, week out. It's not enjoyable as a football fan.
It's really difficult as well to come down from being used to winning every week.
Yeah, there's a total of 3 points between them from 16 games.
God, that's not good, is it? The divide's growing, man. The divide's growing. We've got to get out this season before more teams come down with parachute payments and
you know, the likes of Everton and Wolves and Bournemouth looking at that, I'll just be counting the lucky stars that the sides that have gone up as uppish.
They won't be able to believe the luck. They're all pretty much safe as long as nothing drastic changes. If they carry on the way they are now,
to avoid Derby's record, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, somebody will start winning at some point. One of them will come good. They always do. Maybe two of them, but we'll see. I'm so upset Everton won as well, by the way. I really want to see them get relegated. Scumbags. Jamie was saying to Danny, still 14th, Danny.
So Danny Rumsey before the season started, swore blind would be finished 14th. I think Gilly and Smarty said 16th if I remember correctly.
In context of it, if we don't sign a striker, I think that one.
I probably said relegation on that basis.
So yeah, no, it's nice to be proved wrong in a positive way. I suppose it is nice that even if you are really wrong, you know what I mean. So I always said that I said second all from the very start. I think. And I was adamant. I still think that we will be automatically promoted. I think, looking at the league, there's going to be a lot of people that are above us drop off. I can't see Hull continuing their form. I mean, look at that result at Hull. Doesn't seem like a bad result now.
It doesn't, though. It would have been a disaster if we'd not won that game. But
it could have been. I mean, it wouldn't have been a disaster. That's probably a little bit over the top. But
you know,
we didn't win. But you know, coming off the back of 7 points from 9. And it being away from home, I think before it, Luke, we spoke about which one we'd take the win over, whether it would be Hull or Watford. And given that Watford aren't as good as Hull, I think you were saying
right.
The other way. But for me, it was the home fixture that we have to win, and the draw against Hull, and especially with the games either side of that, I think is a big deal. Well, we've gone not only unbeaten, but taking 7 points from 9 that's promotion form. So
yeah, it is.
In actual fact, I've just remembered, Luke, you getting absolute pelters at one point, talking about Champions League form early on in a season. Do you remember?
Oh yeah, that's right.
So much shit that covers, and I think we'd taken something like 12 points from 15 or something like that, and you're looking at it and you're going, well, no, it is. If we keep that going, that is where we'll end up.
Yeah.
It's not
from
we're going to qualify for the Champions League. It's just this very small amount of data available to us. If we keep that going, that's what we'll do. But you know, and I think what is it? 5 games now, and we've drawn 2 and won 3. That's going to get you promoted. You keep that going.
Yeah, unbeaten in 6 in the league, and not conceded in 360 minutes or plus
crazy.
Added time. So
lovely, isn't it? That's lovely. Alice Adams just saying, she said mid-table. She's glad to be proved wrong. I think we all are.
So in terms of Watford, because there's always the context when you're talking about how good a performance it is. There's always the context of the opponent. You can only play what's in front of you. In terms of Watford, where do we actually put them? You know, we've talked about Birmingham, we talked about Wednesday, Millwall were gash. So where I'm struggling to put Watford in, kind of understand where we think they're going to end up because we saw so little from them. Were they that bad or were we that good? I think
a bit of both. Yeah, bit of both. They've got some good players. That Asprey is a good player. They're not a bad side considering they were only relegated 3 seasons. Was it 2 seasons ago? 2 seasons ago. It was 2 seasons ago.
Over them, didn't we? 2 seasons ago.
That's right. So they've still got a relatively good squad for that league. You know, they're still receiving parachute payments. They still should be doing much better than they are. And for us to absolutely ruin them, you know, we ruined them. We made them look poor. I don't think they're that bad. They've had some poor results to start the season. They're not doing all that well in the league. I think they're still they're near the bottom end of the table, actually. But but there's still a half decent side, and they've got good players. That I mean, you've only got to look at the keeper's performance and how he played against us as a barometer of how good their squad can be on the day. So, I think it's a bit of both. I think we're playing really, really well. I thought we even played really, really well against Hull. We were just unlucky we didn't score in the first 68 minutes till the red card. And same against Sheffield Wednesday. We just couldn't put the ball in there. We played, we absolutely ruined them. They didn't have a touch of the ball. So you take into account. Somebody mentioned earlier on that Dan James got a penalty given against him for the same challenge on him against Birmingham in the only game we lost this season, and that's the only way we've lost through a penalty. We stand in good stead, and for me, we're only going to get better.
I think so. I think we're in for a really exciting season, and I'm not looking at any games worried. None of them. There's going to be games we lose, of course there is, but I'm not going to go into games fearing the worst this year. And that's nice.
No. I mean,
enjoyable, isn't it?
We've got to give ourselves a bit of reality check. There is going to be games where things don't go right and things don't click, and we do come away with, lose games that we should win, and there's going to be times when they just don't turn up, and they've had a dodgy porridge or something like that in the morning, and but the reality is that. The reality is, if this is the standard of football we're expected to watch for the rest of the season as a whole, then there's a lot to look forward to, and it's a nice place. It's a nice place to be back in. I think after the almost 2 years have been pumped in the Premier League, which wasn't enjoyable for anybody. Yeah,
but you know what? It feels like now with the way we're playing and the players that we have signed, they're all people that could be there for a good few years now. They're all players that could grow with the club, get promoted with us, and develop further. Like, you could see players like Ampadu stepping up, maybe won't be quite as effective at that level, but in a settled team where he's the main man in midfield and he's just been allowed to do his thing and keep developing and honing his skills with us, why can't he be a good Premier League player?
True. Yeah, I agree. And I think the only place that's not true is in defence, because Cooper's not got many seasons left in him. Ayling the same. Byram the same.
But the midfield and attack, Gilly.
Yeah,
and Mellier if he stays.
No, I agree, but you also look at Rodon and the situation there. Now, if we're successful this season, we might be able to sign him, but there's certainly no guarantees on that. No. So there's work to do there, but do you know what? It's more than capable at this level. Yeah. And if that's the area of focus when you get promoted, fine.
Yeah,
that'll
absolutely. I'll just grab a couple more comments before we finish up. I think we'll probably call it a night there, because we're going to run out of stuff for you to talk about tomorrow. Otherwise, I don't even know. Am I on tomorrow? I ain't got a clue.
Everyone's on apart from being smart, I think.
Oh, okay. Ben Robbo says Rodon definitely back in. What's everyone on? We didn't concede because Watford were shite. I mean, it's probably a bit of that, but I think that we played very well. So
but it's also about who did drop. That was the conversation. It's not whether Rodon's good enough. It's will you change that dynamic more than anything else?
Liam's saying the same thing, though. Rodon doesn't deserve to lose his place. Back to the bench for Cooper. Rodon plays on Saturday.
I'd agree with that. I mean,
I want that, but I feel like it is harsh on Cooper. But I do prefer Rodon.
But I also think that Cooper's likely to start if Ayling doesn't.
Yeah. As we said earlier,
Yeah, so...
We'll see, won't we? Paul Brennan, Jaden Anthony is a class player. Goodbye, Cine. We have a replacement player for you who wanted to come to Leeds United. You took your 30 pieces of silver. Don't come back, Cine. I think we all agree with that sentiment, don't we?
Yeah, Cine, a Somalian pirate.
Cine the sinner. Piss off and don't come back. Right, has anyone got anything they want to announce or talk about before we finish up? Or
not particularly, no. Just a lot to look forward to in there.
Yeah, there is. We're back tomorrow, aren't we? I believe at the usual time. Or are we starting at 8 this week?
Don't know.
No, usual time, tomorrow. I think, innit?
We'll probably
we'll sort that out and let everybody know.
Yeah.
This is the right answer, Mark. Who the fuck is Cine? Exactly. Cine who?
Oh, before we go, I'm just going to bring this up for a sec because I love it.
You don't think you could do it on full screen? Yeah.
All right, so
Shackleton is nibbling away at him, and then Jorginho does well. Brilliant from Jorginho. Absolutely brilliant from Jorginho. I'll fill off my seat. I've had to get back up again because I tell you what, the footwork from Jorginho was superb to him.
I fell off my seat. Yeah, couldn't get back up again.
That was great.
So actually, looking at the rotor, it looks like it is Smarty is on and Carl's not.
Ah, there you go.
If I'm reading that right, but I might not be reading it right. Mate, I'm knackered.
Depends
I
how
wing it as much as I can anyway.
I think we all have to a degree, to be fair. Right, okay. On that note, I will say good night to everyone. Make sure you give us a like and a subscribe. Cheers for joining us and taking part in this craziness with us once more. Cheers, lads, and I will see you next time.
Cheers all.
Adios.
See ya.